Hello, Heidi.
Hi, Irina. Happy to be
How
here
are
again with
you?
you.
Yeah, I'm also so happy, and we are back today to talk about very exciting topic and very current topic, and perhaps one of our favorite topics: incentives.
Yeah.
How can we incentivize, energize, motivate our attendees and our employees? So,
Cool.
Um, I think we will go straight to the questions, right? Because it will
Hmm?
be a very short chat, half an hour. So let's start. And of course, welcome everyone who is joining us today. I'm joining from
Hi.
Heidelberg in Germany, and Heidi, you are joining from Stavanger in
Yeah.
Norway. And if you have any questions, you are welcome to ask as we go along or share your comments or on anything that is being said today. So let's start. Um, so we want to talk today about motivation, inspiration, and how to bring the employees and the attendees together closer to the brand. And I want to ask you, Heidi, the last 1.5 years, we've been mostly engaging online. Companies run a lot of virtual events.
Mhm.
So, have you been inspired? What has inspired you in the past 1.5 years?
A really good question, Irina. So basically, it's been ups and downs for all of us in this 1.5 year, right? And you as well as I and many of our event planners in the community have attended so many virtual events, like sometimes several a day in specific periods. That it's been quite overwhelming, but also inspiring as a whole to see what everybody is doing. But in terms of real, true inspiration, like to the core, where I thought like, wow, this is something really special. I must say that those moments are very, very few. In the large ocean of all of the virtual events that I've been a part of, there are, if I think about it now, and I invite everybody who's watching to do that, like try to remember the top moments, like right now on the top of your head, in the last, in these few seconds of initial thoughts, what comes to mind? To be honest, not that much. I mean, I remember brief parts of, for example, Collision, brief parts of Web Summit, brief parts of Evolve, but there is not one single event that I think of as a whole where I was like engaged the entire time. And that's really sad, actually, when you think about it. Like, we need to do better in terms of being to deliver that. But for example, at Collision, I made a nice contact, which turned into something new. Web Summit was also about the kind of the setup, and also a lot of about the networking and how the carousel worked, which I thought brought an extra vibrant angle to the event. At Evolve, I got really truly excited in the very last session of their on their agenda, which was with Duncan Wardle. And Duncan Wardle is the former head of innovation and creativity at Disney. And I got so inspired by this brief little session that he did there that I hired him for a longer, more in-depth type of session on our next event, the Digital Disruptor, because that is truly one of those moments that I remember out of all of the things that I've attended, where I was like, oh my God, yes. Like, when I heard him speak, I wanted to take action. I wanted to do something. I got really inspired to do something. And that is exactly what you need to achieve with your events. So yeah. What about you?
And yeah, so as you said, there were only parts of the event that were inspiring. So you have, for example, an event that goes for 2 days or for 4 hours, and there will be only one part that is inspiring. And for me, I think these parts were most inspiring, where the interaction was. It was some
Mm-hmm.
brainstorming, it was a hackathon, it was the networking roulette where you suddenly matched with a person who you don't know, or it's like the chat that is going alongside the live stream, and you are kind of watching the live stream, and there is some funny comments on the chat. So it's moments like this that involve the human, the attendees, because it's not a broadcast, it's an event, and event must have an element of interaction and engagement. Okay,
Totally.
So let's go to the next question. And right now we hear a lot that it's just too much noise, it's too much, there is so much content, there is too many events. And I want to ask you, how do you cut through the noise? How do you touch your attendees personally? And how do you inspire them to connect with your event or with your brand?
Well, it actually comes back to what you just said. It's about creating that human connection. And I've been using the term emo currency a lot lately. Bringing back emotion to events is absolutely crucial. And you're right, there's so much noise, there's so many ads, there's so many events that everybody tells you have to attend. And we're all kind of fed up with the same kind of setup and lineup and the topics. They come back over and over again. It's all about the future of events, it's about the future of work, it's about all of the same things with often the same kind of speakers and so on. So I believe that it's really important to touch your attendees and potential attendees on a more personal level, and that is an emotional thing. So for me, it's all about having a good time. It's bringing the fun back into events. And like you said, that those moments of engagement, of connectivity, of feeling like you belong to the same community, those moments of true inspiration, like the one I mentioned with Duncan Wardle. I mean, that is what you need to create and design into your event. And then it's about communicating that out. And there is no simple way to do that. I can see it now for myself again, firsthand. There is no simple way to convince people like, look, this is different than everything else, even though 100% that it truly is. You remember the digital trip as well. I mean, if you weren't there, you could not understand it fully. And it's the same thing with our next event. It's when you're trying to push boundaries and do groundbreaking things and deliver different types of setups and use technology differently and video production differently and have more engagement and connectivity, you cannot really explain that beforehand. It's when your guests and attendees are in that moment together, feeling good about the vibe of the event, that they will go and talk about it afterwards. So it's definitely tricky and difficult to bring that message out, but it's all about the human connection, the engagement, the connectivity, and the emotion, for sure.
Yeah, and I want to add that you also need to give trust, because if you haven't tried it before, you have to trust the event, you have to trust the organizer that they will deliver, and you have to trust and buy the ticket, which is an investment, but you have to trust it. And when you're there, you suddenly see all the surprises and all the fun elements, because, for example, I know your digital trip, in the end, there were so many surprises, and someone even won a trip to Stavanger, and that's definitely worth the investment. And I also want to add a comment from Sina, who is with us on the show. Our micro-tribe communities and chats in Slack kept me engaged during those moments. And that's absolutely correct. There are so many micro-tribes right now. They are on Slack, on Instagram, on WhatsApp, and now also on Discord. The events world still needs to discover this platform, but Discord, it's also like a platform for communities, started, I think, from the gaming industry and now widely used by the creative industry, similar to Slack, for collaboration. And when you have your micro tribe and other event professionals, you are also usually attend the same events that they attend. So it's also good tapping into a micro tribe of like-minded people, individuals, and attending events together.
Yeah, you support each other as well, and you get each other's opinions about what the others think is worth attending, and then it's so much more fun to join with a bunch of people that you already know.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go to our next question, and let's talk specifically about incentives, because we love incentives.
Oh yeah.
And we have a dedicated live and blog post on my blog that we did last year, actually. So now it's almost 1 year, and it's time to refresh this topic and say and give an update. So what changed in the world of incentives?
Okay, let's talk about live incentives, right?
Yes,
like live
exactly,
productions first. I mean, I remember last year, I can't believe it's a year ago, by the way. I remember just as we entered the pandemic that we talked about how trends were shaping in terms of sustainability and things like that. And then it kind of all was put in the back of our heads when the pandemic hit and everybody had to quickly adjust to everything digital. But I can now see that those trends that were emerging back then are coming out again and even stronger than before. Like the requests we're getting now for live productions, thankfully they are coming in again, like slowly, but more and more every week. So they all are about refreshing and re-energizing, exactly like the title of this session. It's about people don't want to go to the desert now. People want to come out of their little caves and their home offices, and they want fresh air, they want nature, they want green, they want space, they want to feel free, and they want to experience a lot of emotion, but they want to also do it in a more conscious way. So I think that the health and safety part that we focused on so much during the pandemic has also kind of instilled this mentality of healthy, green well-being and more sustainable approaches to actual event projects and especially incentives. So I can see now that it's more about that, and that the requests already have that component in the brief from the beginning. Whereas if you remember a long time ago, we were saying that we are still kind of trying to actively sell that, but the client doesn't come to you with the request, can we please have a green option or a sustainable incentive? Now it's already in there. People want to make an impact, and a lot of companies are working with transformation and change on so many levels, not only digitally, but they have new structures, they have new leadership, and they want that to translate into their incentives. So it's about change, impact, better choices, green nature, and fresh energy in every possible way. And we love that, of course, and Norway is like the dream destination to make those requests come to life.
Yeah, I think that you also came up with the slogan "Distance by Nature," right? Because there's a lot of space in Norway, and it's definitely a good destination to have these outdoor incentives. I love it. It's a great development to see, and also good that live events are coming back. But you know what? There will be remote teams forever.
Yeah.
And we also want to reach those who can't attend, those who coming maybe from regions that can't travel, or a company that is not able to offer a live event to the global team. So let's now go to the virtual and talk about the innovation and the digitalization that happened in the incentive space. Online experiences, for example. So how do you boost morale within the company? How do you motivate, reward, and recognize employees for their special effort? And how do you increase their loyalty in the virtual space when you can't do a live event?
Well, it's literally the same thing as with a live incentive. It's again about that emotion connectivity, the being part of something special, the feeling of exclusivity, the feeling of getting a reward for hard work, the feeling of being part of something so cool that makes you more loyal to your brand because it's your brand that got you there. Those are all the same components. And if we look at the pandemic, I mean, to tell you honestly, virtual incentives incentives are still very, very fresh. And there's still a lot of people who are saying, like, you cannot do a virtual incentive, that's impossible. So all that's been happening during the pandemic in most companies is those small little sessions, your wine tastings and get-togethers and virtual escape rooms and all of those types of little team building things have been going around the world. Everybody's already fed up with them, but there is obviously an option to do better things, and that is things like digital trips, like the digital trip like we did, but also not necessarily a full 2-day program, but we've done a lot of digital destination experiences in the last couple of months that are, for example, integrated into a client's conference program, or that are offered for only the winners of a specific incentive program and announced during a conference. And those winners are then invited onto a platform, just them, to have this destination experience. And that can be anything from like a discovery of 45 minutes to a several day long program like the digital trip, with everything, like with your live show cookings and your fjord cruises and everything included in there. And where people thought beforehand that it was absolutely not possible to deliver that sense of emotion or reward virtually, I absolutely disagree, because now we've seen also, based on the feedback from all of those clients, that they were really surprised and wowed, and finally their employees felt like, this was something nice and I really enjoyed this experience. It wasn't one other Zoom type of thing. It was something really special, and I'm happy I got to experience that. So it is possible to do that. And that moving on from virtual to hybrid, also really exciting, because again, people are saying, like, you can't do hybrid incentives. That doesn't make any sense. Like, the people who are sitting at home will never get the same value, right? But I was just working with a very big client on a hybrid project for March, and you can make it really, really exciting, and you can include many more people. You can include all of the people who did not win the final incentive experience, but who are working towards that maybe for next year. So in terms of hybrid, we are now creating concepts where you have a select group of people who won the incentive, who's traveling to the destination, and at the same time we organize interactive moments and streams and connectivity and content sharing with an audience back home. And that's really exciting stuff. It's actually a lot of fun. Like, if you can involve an entire company sitting at home, and at specific times at the headquarters, for example, they all go into their large meeting space, and then they follow what's happening on site at the incentive. That's really cool. And you can interact with them. They share pictures. Everybody at home gets a little extra jealous and works a little harder because they want to get there as well. You can stream, your entertainment, concerts, anything that's happening. You can get people back home to give their opinions. You can even get them to vote on specific stuff, like, the group is going here now, what should I do, this or that? And then everybody kind of gets involved in the whole thing and the whole vibe and atmosphere. So there's lots of stuff that can be done to make exciting hybrid events and virtual incentives. So definitely I would invite and encourage people to look more into it and not to just judge that it's not possible. And it's definitely not taking away from your live destination visitors, because you are only increasing your audience. You're not flipping it to just be virtual, or if you are, then that can lead up to an actual in-person incentive, for example, the year after. Absolutely. What we're doing now a lot as well, like with the next event we also have companies joining, having their private lounge on a virtual event, and then they have a surprise announcement. This event is located in Stavanger at this venue right now. We are actually going there next year, and that becomes like your surprise incentive reveal during the virtual events. So lots of opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's a huge opportunity actually to connect the on-site audience with the virtual audience. So, for example, an example that I learned about at the Rotterdam Experiment event, which was about gamification, is that you have on-site attendees that are steered by the virtual team actually to find something or to complete a task. And it's like engagement on a completely different level, because you deliver an experience which is actually not even possible in the physical space. So like it's completely, you are reimagining events. And so now I want to bring a comment from Naomi, who added, I agree with your earlier point. You have to be willing to invest in the future to grow. If you take the digital disruption seriously, you need to vote with your choices, which is why the Digital Disruptor event is vital to embracing and taking that step towards digital transformation. And since we are talking about the digital trip, and there might be people right now on the stream who don't know what the digital trip is,
Digital disruptor, you mean?
The digital disruptor event. The digital trip was before. So yeah, let's show the video, right?
Okay.
1 second.
What's a digital strategy? It's not just video meeting tools. It's not just digital marketing. It's not just conference software. It's a long-term plan. I am the digital disruptor. Let me explain.
Yeah, it's all about digital strategy this time, but also, not just talks and talks and talks, but a really immersive, very cool style experience.
Yeah, you have two very high profile speakers, so maybe you can mention them again. You mentioned
one. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm so excited about their sessions. We were literally yesterday also working on the technical complexities with Sean Kanungo, who is like a leading innovation and disruptor speaker. He's based in Edmonton, Canada. He's worked for Deloitte 12 years, and he's been involved in restructuring so many businesses around the world. And he just has this good vibe mentality that we need, and also this kind of wake up mindset. It's innovate or die, and that's what we need for this event. And then we have, as mentioned, Duncan Wardle, from the former head of innovation and creativity at Disney, and he runs a company called Ideate and Innovate. And he as well is one of those guys that truly wakes you up and tells you, okay, listen, this is he calls it the fourth industrial revolution. This is what's happening right now. These are facts. There is no denying the situation we are in. We are not going back. And then he is kind of going to do a session on embedding innovation in our DNA, which is also very, very exciting. And those are people that literally just their session alone is worth going to. And that is what I mentioned in with Evolve. That's what happened for me. I felt kind of, I'm not going to say disappointed, but I wasn't super, super excited about the entire event until I saw that session. And I was like, oh my God, yes, this was totally worth it. It's just the right speakers. And of course, it's a big investment. They are top-notch, global level speakers, but they really add so much value to the event. And I can't wait to make those sessions go live. And they will also be engaging with both our live and our virtual audience. Sean from a theater in Canada, and Duncan from New York. So it's all very, very exciting.
It's going to be mind-blowing. So we have a comment from Wendy, who is on your team, right? So yeah,
my colleague,
very excited. I also got a ticket, so I will be there, and I'm very, very looking forward to it. And let's then go to our last question. So if anyone in the audience has a question or comment, that's your chance to ask now, because we are going to talk about a subject now, which is very close to our hearts, and this is well-being, because last 1.5 years weren't easy. We were all working from home. The burden of too much work and stress and the pandemic and managing work-life balance and family, it all was very difficult. So well-being, it's an important component of events going forward, I think, virtually and live. So how do you incorporate wellness and well-being into the virtual experience? Because when you think about, okay, we have to work and then the event is in the afternoon, so we still need to stay glued to the screen and listen to sessions and engage. And we are checking our phones, and maybe the TV is also running in the background. So how can you manage this?
Yeah, good question, and definitely great to point out that mental health is so important. It has been even more important in the last 1.5 years, and all the way up to yesterday I was having these conversations again, and I've been there myself. It's really ups and downs, and it's a roller coaster, and some days you really feel like you can't do it anymore, and it's too much screen time, and it's too many meetings and too many events to attend. But that's where I think you need to engage in two different ways, both during and not during live events, but on the side. As a brand, you need to create those communities around the purpose of that matches your brand, but also that inspires people and focuses on well-being. Like the group that I've created, Event Profs Walk, has really become a big part of my own day-to-day. And a lot of people with me, we're about 700 event planners on the account now, and we have monthly challenges with a good bunch of people who literally share their step counts every day, and we motivate each other. And there's many days where I'm like, oh my God, I just want to stay on my couch, leave me alone. And everybody else will be like, oh, come on, put on your walking shoes, you can do it, you got this, And we keep encouraging each other, and it's such a positive vibe to be there for each other, also on the hard days, and to go out and get fresh air and leave the screen for a moment and go for that one walk a day makes such a huge difference. That's one example. And you can also incorporate those elements into your live events. It can be a small mindfulness session, it can be a yoga session, but it can also literally be, okay, step away from your screen and go out for a couple of minutes. This is a break time, go for a walk, refresh yourself, and come back. But also in terms of experiencing the event itself, when you design it in such a way that there's a lot of movement and you focus on creating those emotions, people experience your event differently, and you don't get fatigued in the same way. It's not like you're sitting in front of your screen halfway dying out of boredom and out of just because it's too long and it's dreadful and there's just speakers talking and it's too serious and there's not any type of breaks. I mean, breaks is not only leaving the screen, but it's also the flow of your event. It's different paces throughout the event. Like, you slow it down a little, you pick it up, you have entertainment, you have different types of things to experience also during the event that make it less of a draining experience and makes you actually feel engaged and energized. It is possible.
Yeah. Okay, so before we wrap up, maybe also our audience can share with us in the comments with an emoji. How do you feel today? Yeah, absolutely. Taking a break from the screen is so important, and having a group for accountability, it's just so beneficial because I know in the Event Profs Walk group, which I'm also a part of, there is also a little challenge, which is also a very cool thing because you have a challenge or have a leaderboard. You have a gamification. So we started in
Keeps
July.
You going, right?
Yeah, so July, there was 7,000 steps. In August, you have to do 8,000 steps and so on, leading to December with 12,000 steps. So, and like you can engage in the group, but you can also, for example, engage like just for your own kind of comparison. You check your app and you say, oh, okay, today I actually did 10,000 steps, or today I did 4,000. And then what I found interesting on my app actually is that like in July I did more steps than in June, which I didn't even notice. I didn't plan to, but just like having it in the background, it also already gives you this motivation, this kick to keep going. So
you get influenced by the other people for sure. Even if, you don't have to necessarily walk all those steps a day if that's too much for you. But definitely it makes a change because you get that constant reminder that, okay, these people have been walking and that person's going for a walk now and they have done their 10,000 steps. And oh my God, she did a marathon. All of these things kind of influence your own mindset for sure. So people, you know what to do. Join Eventprof's Walk on Instagram, and also, of course, the event we've been talking about, the digitaldisruptor.com is where you get your ticket. We have our early bird ticket sales ending today at midnight, by the way. So
okay, so yeah, it's your chance to grab a ticket and get it for a good price. So yeah, we have an emoji from Robert showing his screen that how I feel today as well. But yeah,
okay.
So but now afterwards, it's a good time to close the computer, leave the phone at home, and go for a walk. So Heidi, I think
let's go right now.
Yeah, we're wrapping up. But before we're wrapping up, we have Rachel Williams. Good to encourage each other and constantly remind each other about our well-being. We can walk, dance, or run. Absolutely,
yes, Rachel.
And it's a Friday,
I'm
so it's a good it's a good reason to dance and to run towards the weekend. Yeah. So Heidi, thank you so much for this live today, for this fantastic chat as always, and this update on incentives. So I think we should just do it in 1 year again and see how the incentive has evolved.
So much
it's like
fun.
June, July, it's our fixed date in the calendar for incentive chat. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone who watched today. So, and now let's close our screens and we go for a walk.
Go for a walk.
Yeah.
Thanks, Irina. Take care.
Thank you, Heidi. Bye.